That GOP debate. It was a hot one. Donald Trump and Ted Cruz neck and neck 2 weeks ahead of those first votes in Iowa, and they went at it last night. The others fighting to break out, and ABC's Tom Yamas was there in Charleston for all of it. Good morning, Tom.
George, good morning to you. What a night. The two frontrunners wasted no time going at it. Senator Ted Cruz standing his ground, accusing Donald Trump of manufacturing that birther controversy, but Donald Trump saying with Ted Cruz, there's serious problems for the GOP. Overnight, a clash of titans at the Republican debate. Donald Trump and Senator Ted Cruz, once allies, rumbling on stage.
There's a big question mark on your head.
Trump ordering Cruz to get a court order to show he's eligible to run for president since Cruz was born in Canada. Cruz painting Trump as a natural-born politician.
You know, back in September, my friend Donald said that he had had his lawyers look at this from every which way, and there was no issue there. The Constitution hasn't changed. But the poll numbers have.
Cruz saying extreme birther arguments would eliminate several candidates, even Trump.
Donald's mother was born in Scotland. She was naturalized. Now, Donald,
but I was born here.
Some candidates growing frustrated with the issue.
I hate to interrupt this episode of Court TV, but the real...
Senator Rubio also clashed with Governor Chris Christie over his record in New Jersey.
Unfortunately, Governor Christie has endorsed many of the ideas that Barack Obama supports.
Christie later not letting Rubio interrupt him.
Now you already had your chance, Marky, you blew it.
And all the Republicans on stage taking shots at Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton would be a national security disaster.
Hillary Clinton cannot be president.
If we elect Hillary Clinton, the next 4 years will be worse than the last 8.
But Cruz and Trump weren't done. Later, fighting over Cruz saying Trump embodies, quote, New York values.
There are many, many wonderful, wonderful working men and women in the state of New York. But everyone understands that the values in New York City are socially liberal.
Trump taking that personally and invoking 9/11.
And everybody in the world loved New York and loved New Yorkers, and I have to tell you, that was a very insulting statement that Ted made.
After the debate, I spoke with Trump, who told me he didn't think their fight would get so heated.
Were you surprised at how hard he hit you?
I was a little bit surprised, and I think we hit him back much harder.
Now, Donald Trump also told me after the debate that he's not going to change his strategy for this campaign, but they will be spending much more time in Iowa just before the Iowa caucuses, and all the candidates will get another chance to debate in 2 weeks just before the voting starts. George?
Okay, Tom, thanks. Let's talk about this more with John Carr. He's also in South Carolina this morning for us. And Republican pollster Kristen Soltis Anderson. She's a columnist for the Washington Examiner. And, John, let me begin with you. Trump also said after the debate the bromance is over with Ted Cruz. Who got the better of it?
Well, look, both of them, Cruz and Trump, had their best debates of the campaign. They dominated this debate, but Trump clearly came out on top. His response to the New York values attack from Cruz was so effective that Cruz was actually applauding him. And even that exchange on Cruz's citizenship, you could argue that Cruz won the exchange, but look what they were debating, George. They were debating whether or not Ted Cruz is eligible to be president. That's a debate that Donald Trump wants to have. It's certainly not a debate that Ted Cruz wants to have.
But Kristen, you did think Ted Cruz won.
I thought Ted Cruz did get the better of Donald Trump in that first exchange, particularly because I think he rattled Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not someone who rattles easily, but when Cruz brought up the fact that Donald Trump's mother wasn't born in the United States, of course that's irrelevant when it comes to the constitutionality of Trump's campaign, but it did seem to throw him off his heels a little bit, and you saw that, you know, this is the Ted Cruz who is a national debate champion in college. This is the Ted Cruz that came out to play last night.
And John, at times the others seem to struggle to get in a word during this debate, but Marco Rubio really unleashed a barrage on Cruz right at the end of the debate.
He sure did. Clearly, Marco Rubio has calculated that he is not going to be able to beat Donald Trump unless he is first able to destroy Ted Cruz. They went back and forth at it. I think that that's the political cage match we're going to see going into Iowa. But, George, even on that score, I think you could argue Trump won, because while they were beating up on each other, Trump emerged from this debate largely unscathed.
Meantime, Hillary Clinton on late night TV last night. Here she was with Jimmy Fallon.
He does have a running commentary.
We
both do.
Yeah.
Can you believe what he just said?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
I have
love
no idea. Yeah, we have an ongoing dialogue about it.
That was her talking about how she watches debates with her husband, former President Bill Clinton. But, Kristen, one of the things the Republicans are really salivating about is this cage match now between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, with him leading in Iowa and New Hampshire.
You're right. If you take a look at the polls, Hillary Clinton's decline, or the decline of her lead, looks about as dramatic as the decline in her lead looked 8 years ago. Are we seeing a rerun of the same movie? Because while Hillary Clinton gets certain pieces of the Democratic base excited, there are other pieces of Obama's old coalition from 8 years ago that really seem to be flocking toward Bernie Sanders, particularly younger voters, folks who would be first-time caucus goers. So there has to be at least a little bit of nervousness in the Clinton camp. Are we seeing a rerun of 8 years ago?
At least a little bit. Kristen, John, thanks very much.